this place? What's going on here? This is the chain locker on the Schooner Harvey Gamage. It's January 1989. The ship's been sailing the British and U.S. Virgin Islands for the past 2 months. When we get this anchor up, we're heading down to St. Thomas for provisions. From there, we'll head out into the Anegada Passage on our way to the islands of Saba, Nevis, St. Kitts, Statia, St. Barths, then our new home port, St. Martin.
This video ends with our arrival at the Dutch island of Saba. Video part 2 will hopefully follow soon and cover the remaining islands visited during this trip.
I probably watched too many pirate movies when I was a kid. In my early teens, I started building ship models. By the time I was in my early 30s, I was helping with the installation of the new whaling exhibit at the Peabody Essex Museum. When I was done with that, I think I was tired of being a workaholic under all those fluorescent lamps for so many years. I had been shot in a robbery. I decided I was going to sell my electronics business and go see what sailing was really like beyond books and films. I had a couple of friends, Cindy and John, that had circumnavigated the globe. They sent me postcards from all over the world, sometimes I thought just to torture me. My good friend Corinne was working on the Schooner Harvey Gamage, and I talked to her about the situation, and she easily convinced me that it was time for me to just sign up and go down to the West Indies and have a recharge. And that's when it happened. That's when I became a schooner addict. I came home for Christmas in 1988, and before the end of December, I got a call from one of the ship's owners. He asked me if I'd be interested in going back down to the West Indies to help get the ship across the Anegada Passage. Of course I said I would. My good friend Mike Bilius decided he'd like to come along and videotape the event. So that's what we did, and now after 37 years, it's time to put the video together and tell the story.
I learned about the Harvey Gamage through my good friend Bob Magro, with whom I used to build and repair ship models. So that was a bit of an introduction to maritime lore, and Bob had been a crew member on the Gamage and shared with me his experiences and how much of an attachment he had developed for the ship and the life aboard. And I was motivated to go and find out for myself. I found it very much to my liking. I was welcomed aboard by Eben Whitcomb, who was the skipper at that point. I think my first experience there was waking up on a foggy morning and taking the Whitehall for a little row, and while I was rowing around the ship, a minke whale surfaced and a couple of times near me, and I thought, boy, this is just like nothing I've ever experienced before. You know, and then that was just the beginning of it. At that time, the mate on board, wonderful guy, super capable, gave me something to aspire to as far as being a valuable crew member on the ship. And, you know, and then I gradually began meeting all of the folks on board, the cooks and the deckhands. Did my best to fit in. And the next winter was coming up, and I had finished up some studying at college in Salem, Mass. And I kept thinking about the ship and wanting to go back and spend some more time aboard as a deckhand. I remember calling Eben Whitcomb directly and letting him know that I was interested in joining the ship in the Virgin Islands and being a deckhand. I was prepared to go on and on about why I wanted to do it, but I simply posed the question, and as soon as the words were out of my mouth, Eben's response was just, yes. And so there I had secured a deckhand position.
Corinne was previously a cook on the ship. Tell us about the U.S. and British Virgin Islands schedule. What was that like?
We started out at St. Thomas. New passengers would board on Sunday. We would have a rum punch party, and then they were on their own for dinner. So then we would sail on Monday from St. Thomas, and we would go to St. John. Then on Tuesday, we would go to Joost van Dyke. They always had a pig roast on Tuesdays, and it was one of our favorite islands. We would get off the boat and go in and have some fun dancing. Wednesdays, sometimes we went to Tortola, or we would go, sometimes we went to Virgin Gorda, and that was a fun place to be too. And then we would do another stop on a different part of St. John, and we would always have a cookout when we were there. One night we would usually anchor around Norman Island, and it didn't have anybody living on it, but there was a trail you could walk up to the top and see all around, and that was fun. And I believe that is the island that Treasure Island, the book was based on, where the treasure was hidden. And then on Saturday mornings, we would head back to St. Thomas, and that group of passengers would leave and would get the boat ready for the next week. And then we were off Saturday night and all Sunday until rum punch.
We had a battery-powered cassette player with a recording of the day's weather forecast. If passengers asked us about the weather, we'd just pull out the cassette deck and play the tape for them.
Can you hear us? Does this have audio? Yes, it does.
Crossing the Anegada Passage from St. Thomas to Saba will be a 2-day to 3-day sail, and we were all really looking forward to
We
it.
could manage this. I think we have a VCR here, right?
We do.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
To the left.
Hold on.
Now, I just want everybody to know that this is the crew that is going to take us on this passage starting tomorrow morning bright and early.
Yep.
We're
starting off with high impact aerobics before breakfast.
High impact aerobics before breakfast. I hear that's wonderful.
Wait, do you mean high impact? This is going to show us all. I'm not on the beach.
I know you are one of the passengers who is enjoying themselves.
Yes, but she was here last week, so she's like crew now.
She understands. I notice how calm she is. She has faith in you guys.
Ready for her second week on
How about everybody kind of just introducing themselves real quick?
I'm Clay Ramsey, midshipman. Because I remember my.
This is Dave, and that's Josh.
The nose. Ben.
Josh with the nose.
Yours is
And you are?
That's Marlene.
Marlene's a passenger enjoying herself.
Let's have someone hold it for me today.
I'm Bob. I lie.
This is Chuck.
Chuck.
What? And you are?
I'm Sam with no arms, no legs.
Sam, you're leaving us tomorrow.
I am.
And we're
Sam was
going
a passenger last week.
Sam was great.
He's
We just sat around and watched Sam work.
It was great.
Because speaking for yourself, once we've all noticed.
There's two more up here.
I know they're hiding over in the corner. Who's this hiding in the corner here?
This is Dave.
Doug.
Doug and Dave are twins.
Yeah.
They're from the same
These two are from the same town.
Oh, yeah, it makes them twins.
Total coincidence.
TC.
Hold on. Did you guys go to the same school?
Junior
Same
high.
school. They know the same people.
What?
No,
It's like parallel
This is
universes.
Lewis. I'm Lewis. You'll get it straightened out. Yeah, I'll get it.
We'll get it by time.
Doesn't matter.
After we have him take the propeller, we can talk a few times, you know.
I don't care.
Sounds good, sounds good.
About to
Throw them both in there, right? Deep end. Just
Anyone want to get laid?
That's good, that's good.
That's good, you know.
Oh, that's so cool.
and
Why do we have it?
As a cook, we each were responsible for one meal a day, and a lot of times I would do breakfast. And at breakfast, I was in the kitchen at least 4 o'clock trying to start the diesel stove and then get the coffee on as soon as possible and bring it up and put it on deck. Trick was to do it without waking anybody up.
Hey, Bob, get up. Captain said you didn't work hard enough to get this much sleep. Or take up this much deck space.
I'm a pass on this day.
It doesn't matter. So we're ready for a good day, eh?
Yeah, fantastic day. It looks like it's gonna be a good sail. You can see over there. Yeah. The clouds are gonna cut to clear and the sun's gonna come out. It's gonna be a good day.
Sounds good.
Well, I'm gonna get some coffee now, so I'll see you later. Take off the forward spring. Hey David, you cast off the stern line.
That's the schooner Roseway from Maine tied up behind us. And here comes the crew to see us off.
See you up north. Wow. Thank you for my new hair. Did it work out all right? Yeah, I love it. Nobody else noticed. You want to hear it? Stay out of the bar.
Never again, never again.
Hold on your stomach. Stay out of that.
Who's still trying to find this?
Yeah.
Alright, let's get the tender up. Lowest tender.
Mike, could you share a little bit about you and the video from your perspective?
I like the excitement of being out on the ocean and shooting the video, the way things went, and crew was fantastic. Great kids. And they were kids back then. I hope they all had a good life. When I shoot video, I really enjoy architecture and history, the flora, the fauna, the birds, the bees, the flowers. Well, you can see that in some of the shots. I like the action, close-ups, and the way we move from a close-up to an open field. Video is an interesting task, making sure that you're not actually intruding on things, but making them appear as they are naturally.
Ready, 2, 6, heave! 2, 6, heave!
I enjoyed the trip a lot. I'm sure Marcia did too. Having my wife on board with us was really a treat.
All right, all together, everyone.
And one more. Hey. All right. More. 2, 6. Okay, hold that. 2, 6. One more good one. Ready? 2, 6. All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Take a step forward. All right. Up behind. Drop.
Watching the video of the people pulling the lines and lowering the sails or the tender in the back, particularly, like, reminds me of one time we pulled up next to this yacht, and there were these, like, it was like a fancy motor yacht, and the kids working on that boat, and they were kids, couldn't have been more than 20 years old, just like we were. They were talking about how hard they worked because they were polishing this and polishing that, and Lewis, you know, they're like, oh, they're saying how they definitely worked harder than us, and Lewis had grabbed one of the kids' hands, flipped it over, and the kid's hand on the motor yacht looked like a baby's bottom, and then they flipped his hand over, and it was all calloused, basically the equivalent of a barnacle. So it was a way to show, yeah, you guys say you work hard, but this is hard work. And I remember the calluses and the burn it took to get that going, and compared to like Lewis or Dave or some of the other guys, it was mine never got past the baby bottom phase. Pitch of the boat, up and down, and I was stunned as to how wild the ride could be, and particularly watching some of the more able deckhands being out there on the net underneath the jib, riding up and down. Sometimes there'd be 10 feet out in the air, and then sometimes the water's up to their chest. So I just thought that was just nuts to see. And every time I see boats and know that there's, you know, they're going through some weather, that just, you know, comes back.
Once we were underway, we stood regular watches, 4 hours on and 8 hours off. You see a lot of the crew sleeping around the deck midday. They're not lazy, they're either just getting off their watch or getting some sleep before they start the next one.
Day 2 of the passage, and not much to report. The weather has been nicely in our favor, so it's just another great day of sailing.
I didn't know they allowed drunks on board this ship. I mean, everybody's staggering all over the place.
I gotta start putting your Dramamine in the food, I guess.
Here comes Bob.
Had a really strict schedule for what we ate and when we ate it, because there wasn't electricity on the boat. So all the food was packed in an ice chest that was kept up on deck. And so you didn't want to rummage in the ice chest, so you put the perishable things at the top, and then you worked through to the bottom of things that were going to stick around for the latter part of the week, because it was basically you're getting food just on the weekends.
Here's our first glimpse of Saba.
To maintain a shadow boat on board all sightings to United States Coast Guard. This is Papa Junior. Sierra, Silver, clear.
That reminds me of the Joy baths we used to take. Joy was the dishwashing detergent that we would use, or the dish soap, and it was the only soap apparently that would suds up in salt water. So the whole time I was on the boat, I never remember taking a shower. It was jump over the side, someone would throw a bottle of Joy to you, and you would clean up as best as you could. Coming into Saba for the first time, that was the most impressive island I've ever seen. I always felt it looked like in the Flintstones comic, kind of like an evil scientist's lair of just literally coming from sea level to 5,000 feet or a mile high. And at one time we hiked to the top of it. I think it's Mount Scenery. We made it to the top and we met this guy whose job was to clear that path every single day. So he would hike it and just hack back the brush every day. And I remember talking to him about weather, and he was asking me what snow was like. So it was a pretty interesting conversation.
So Bob, did you have a favorite island down there?
I did have a few islands out of the West Indies that I would consider my favorites. Probably starting with the ABCs off the coast of Venezuela. I really liked Curacao for its architecture. I certainly liked Statia. The waterfront warehouse ruins were most interesting for someone with an imagination like mine. Statia, at one time, was the busiest port in the New World. It handled all trade between England, Africa, and the 13 colonies of America. The fort there was just spectacular. And then I guess Saba. Saba was truly unique. Everybody on these trips thought that Saba was the best of all the best islands. Columbus discovered it on his second voyage to the New World, but he couldn't find any way to get ashore. And I think that that aspect, or that difficulty, kept it as pristine as it was, and still is. It's known as the unspoiled queen. When we were on Saba, we were told a number of times that that particular island was the model for Skull Island or Kong Island in the original King Kong movie.
The first paved road here was built in 1947, and this is how they brought the first vehicles ashore. The pier, where we tied up, wasn't finished until 1972. Here's Marcia, Pauline, Mike, and Bob stepping up to test the road.
Did you see goats down there, Mike?
Oh. Wake me when we're there. Yeah, right, Mike. Well, I hope my mother prayed for this, too. She said she'd only pray for calm seas and a nice time.
Here we go.
She never said she would pray for us not dying in a Jeep truck. Yeah, really. It's my uncle. We're here. Help me, I'm falling.
What are you on about?
I want to be in the hut. Oh my God.
What?
Your leg.
What did you think it was?
No, I thought it was a blanket.
Stay on the truck so I can hold on to your hand, all right?
All right.
That's St. John's over there. This is where they drive fast here. They get to blow out the garbage in the carburetor. So they just whip through this section here. You mean you don't want to look at this curve? Right, overlook the blue Caribbean here in Hell's Gate, Saba.
Sunrise creeping, shadows leaving, city sleeping, memories weaving through the haze, a familiar face, flashbacks racing, a bittersweet taste, and it's gonna be a long time till I forget you like the waves crashing on the shore. I'll miss you more. Empty streets whisper in your flame of a love lost, a dream misplaced. Echoes linger, a bittersweet taste, and it's gonna be a long time till I forget you, like the waves crashing on the shore. I'll miss you more, maybe someday we'll meet again in a different life, a different scene where the sun shines brighter, the air feels clean, and all our sorrows will have ceased to be. And it's gonna be a long time till I forget you, like the waves crashing on the shore. I'll miss you more, See you again in another life, see you again beyond the stripes, see you again where the stars align, see you again someday.
Here's some final words from Joff about his last year on the Harvey Gamage, 1991.
So I had been talking about islands that we visited in the various parts of the Caribbean while I was aboard the Gamage, and I can remember that one of the nicest things about being a crew member at that time was the captain would put several of us on watch through the night and asked to be alerted if there was any kind of lights that we didn't understand from other ships or any kind of situation, but mostly left it to us to get the ship from one island to the next on our watches through the night, which I thought was just a great way to teach people about the sea and a great way to show crew members that he trusted our judgment and that we could do it. We could basically sort of captain this ship through the night to the waypoint that we were headed for, which was all part of the majestic sort of allure of the Harvey Gamage. It was a ship on which you could find yourself as a part of a crew and grow as a part of that experience. And you happen to be in one of the most beautiful places on earth.
So,
Yeah, if you're washing, I'm drying.
Okay, fair enough.